Hi, my name is Stephen Wells. I'm a senior 3D character modeler for video games, as well as an instructor in game assets, and I've been teaching 3D game assets, ZBrushing, and character modeling for the last several years. I'd like to introduce you today to a little program called Roadkill. It's a free mesh unwrapper. Everybody knows sometimes when after you're modeling a game resolution model that you have to unwrap it. And there are a number of programs out there for unwrapping. I think some of them are a little more complicated than others. This Roadkill actually is one of the easiest one I've ever found. In fact, I stumbled into it several years ago, and I just love it. It's great for organics. It's great for props. I give it to all my students, and in fact I run them through a couple tutorials like this so that they can use it as well for themselves. It's actually really easy to learn, it's really easy to understand, and I think once you test it for yourself, you'll be surprised at how easy it is. This is the Roadkill interface. On the left hand side we have the 3D mesh view, and on the right hand side we have the UV panel. On the left hand view I'm rotating around by holding down my left button and Alt key. For you Maya users, you'll be very familiar with that because the navigation within this program is in fact set up really for Maya users. So for Max users or anyone else, it's the left Alt key to rotate around, middle mouse Alt to pan, right mouse Alt to zoom in and zoom out. I can do the same controls on the right hand side, the UV mode. If I hold down my right button and Alt, I can zoom in, zoom out. Middle mouse Alt, I can pan around. The only thing you can't do obviously is rotate around this particular view because it is UVs. Now to use Roadkill, you really only need to know 3 keys. First is E for edge. Second is C for cut, cutting the seams, the UVs. And third is W to weld, welding seams, welding mistakes, things like that. So if I push my E key and I rotate around, this is a simple axe, low poly axe model. This is one that I usually give my students. To select an edge, I merely can zoom in, rotate around, find an edge I want, and just left click. I can hold down my shift key to add more edges in. I'm just left clicking shift, left click shift, left click shift. If I accidentally grab something I didn't want, let's say I rope a couple things, grab something I didn't want, you just hold down your control key, select that edge, and it deselects. By the way, please have an understanding that when you've modeled something, have an idea of how you want to cut the UV seams. In this case, I want both sides of the axe to have their own UV space. The edge will be a space, the handle with the grip, and then the spikes will be a different area. So what I'll do is, again, holding down the shift, I'm just selecting these edges. And I'll show you a faster way to do this too as we go along. But I just want you to get used to it. So left click, select, select. Just left clicking and selecting. You can rotate around if you think you've accidentally grabbed something. You can always zoom in and check it. By the way, this is one of those programs where you can zoom inside of the model as well, which really makes for grabbing some tight vertices very easy. Anyway, I'm ready to cut, so I'm just going to hit C. Now, as you can see, if I zoom in, it unwrapped the face, but I missed one edge, which is why it's still selected here. And that was this particular edge. That's the beauty of this program. Anything that you select will be in orange, either on the 3D view or in the UV view. So anytime you're not sure of what you're selecting, you can either do it here, or if you know what it is, you can select on the right hand side and still hit C to cut it. Anything you can do on the left side, you can do on the right hand UV side. In fact, on this side, if you'll notice, this axe face now has all these edges still on it because we cut this side off. What we do is we can now just double click an edge, and you see it'll automatically select until it gets to a triangle. It'll automatically select those edges. If I hold down my shift and hit C, I now have, that's the edge of the head of the axe and two axe faces perfectly. For the axe handle, you need to look to see, in most video games, when the axe is coming at you and doing this, you can get an idea of where you want the cuts to be. Since most axes will be seen from this angle, or from the left or the right, chances are you want the seam in the back of the model. So again, all I have to do is double click one edge, and it goes for cutting it. Now it'll cut it down till this point, because it's hit a particular edge, it doesn't understand that. And that's fine. We can just go ahead and cut it for now. As you can see, it just unwrapped that. Very quick, very easy. I'm going to go ahead and cut this base off by double clicking around the edge and hitting C. Now, as you can see, this is the axe handle, complete axe handle, axe faces, axe edge. Really simple. For this base, however, these triangles and these particular spikes present a little bit of a problem. So to cure that and to fix that, all I have to do is, I know I'm going to put little areas and some dust and some scratches on those spikes, so there's no sense me trying to do an unwrap the way that was falling on the handle. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to look at these spikes as a complete object in and of itself, so I'm going to cut those spikes. So I hold down my shift and I'm just going to select those edges. I'm going to rotate around by left click and alt, then I'm shifting and selecting the next edges. Shifting, next edges. And I can actually grab those sides and go over here, and now I'm going to cut. That's just put these are all of those spikes that I just cut. Now the handle itself, of course, is this, and if you keep that as it is, you're going to have some really wonky texturing. So we still need to unwrap those. So what I do is I like to take out the bottom as its own base, so I'm going to double click one edge and hit C. So that took out that right there. And I'm going to continue this particular line here by holding down my shift, scrolling it up, shift, C. Now I've just cut that as all around, but again, no seam will show where it's going to be seen as it's coming at you, especially if it's a first person game you're going to play and you see this axe come at you. You're not going to see the seam on this side. You're also technically not going to see the seam on that because it's the tightest edge. And that's basically it. As you can see, in just a couple of minutes I unwrapped this particular model without a whole lot of effort. A few button clicks, a couple of keys, and that was basically it. I hope this has been helpful, and we'll get into more unwrapping, more complicated unwrapping in the next video. Thank you very much.